Thank you very much. Before we do the approval of the agenda tonight, I have a letter that I'd like to read from Treasurer Mark Clinton, and I know Mark is watching us on TV tonight. Dear residents of Plymouth Township and our Township Hall team, as you have probably noticed by now, I have not been able to attend the last few meetings of the Township Board. In mid-November, I experienced a medical setback. I am currently recovering at home and am undergoing therapy almost daily. My wife and family have been a tremendous support, and I know I will emerge stronger thanks to them. I am working from home as much as possible, and I continue to monitor activities at the Treasurer's office. My office staff, Deputy Treasurer Amy Hammy and Claudia Devoto, are doing an outstanding job making sure that all the functions of the office are continuing. Our winter property tax bills have gone out on time, and all other activities of my office continue to move forward as planned. Customers should see no change in service. I hope to return to the Board of Trustees meetings as soon as possible. I just ask for your patience and support as I work through this challenge. I am grateful this Christmas season for the gifts of life, family, and friends. And with your prayers, patience, and support, I look forward to a brighter future for us all. It's an honor to serve the people of Plymouth Township. And that's signed Mark Clinton, Township Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Dorshevitz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item D is approval of the consent agenda. Questions, comments? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Dorshevitz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Public comment limited to 3 minutes. This is not your only opportunity during tonight's meeting. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. We just ask that comments be limited to 3 minutes. You can also comment on individual agenda items throughout the meeting as long as they are germane to that particular topic. Anyone at this time? Okay, we're going to move on to item F. This is new business. This is the planned unit development option consideration for the Hillside Overlook Apartments. These are the proposed apartments for the old courthouse grill site. We've provided the board with several different packets of information. In addition to the information in your agenda pack, we've also provided you a link to a 62-page environmental study. And we also have the environmental consultant for this project on the phone. And if our wizards in the back could release her so we can hear Ann, I believe her name is.
Ann, can we hear you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Perfect. So Ann, just stay on the, thank you. Just stay on the line if we need you for anything. She's obviously participating remotely. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to our planner, Laura Haw. We also have the applicants here tonight as well.
Thank you. And the application before you is for a planned unit development, a PUD, for a multifamily residential project with 120 units. That would be 4 stories of residential with 2 floors of underground parking. It will be a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units with various amenities for those residents. A planned unit development is a flexible development option. And it's really a tool for the township to have more input and more public input into the decision-making process. So if this were a multifamily development under conventional straight zoning, the applicant would not need a public hearing. They would not be required to come before this body. They would not be required to have at least 4 meetings with the township. They could simply get their approval from the Planning Commission at 1 meeting and then start working with the building department on construction. So by going the planned unit development route, the applicant is engaging with the township at a much finer degree and also engaging all residents within 300 feet, but also the general Plymouth Township community. So for instance, as part of this process, the Planning Commission and the board has greater control over the architectural standards, the landscaping. One of the things that was heard at the public hearing with the Planning Commission from across the street with the ravines was that some additional landscaping was requested along Plymouth Road, and the applicant has addressed that. The Planning Commission also wanted to see a historic marker at the property, and that will be implemented. So as part of this four-step process that I mentioned, this is really only the second step. Pending approval this evening, the applicant would still need to go back to the Planning Commission, flesh out the site plan, the fine details, and then come back to this board again for final approval. So there are still other steps and checks in this process. This is kind of the general concept, the option of the PUD. And the Planning Commission did recommend this project to the board for approval. And there is a sample resolution for your consideration. The applicant is also here this evening and has some materials to present as well.
I understand that was a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So does that conclude your remarks?
Thank you.
Okay. Would the applicant, representative of the applicant like to come forward? We just ask that you just state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Kovacevic. I am the applicant and one of the partners in this transaction. I just wanted to step up and just give you guys a quick background of the people behind the project so you understood who's working on this project and who's planning to build this project. A little bit of background on myself and my partner. My partner unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. His name is Bob Lenz. He's the owner of Peak Management, which is a management company that manages apartment properties for a living. They primarily manage just our apartment complexes, which are generally located in the state of Michigan. We have 5,000 apartment units in the state. And by way of background, I'm a Canton resident growing up. I went to Central Middle School, graduated from Plymouth Canton High School, and so I'm very excited to present to you guys what we think is a well thought out, innovative, multifamily construction project for the township. For the last 20 years, I've spent my time in the commercial finance industry, so my specialty is financing these types of projects. My specialty is multifamily financing, so the construction and the permanent debt is kind of where I've lived for the last 20 years. Also, during that time, I've also spent that time developing, acquiring, managing, and rehabbing apartment complexes across the state. And again, my partner, Bob Lenz, his specialty is management. So just by way of background, I wanted you guys to understand that the people behind the deal are just as important to me as the actual construction of the project that goes up. And so this isn't our first time building an apartment complex, managing an apartment complex of this size. And the management is just as equally important as the construction because a successful apartment project needs to be well managed and well taken care of, both physically and maintaining the occupancy of the project. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mark Abernatha from Bogarts and Associates, who's spent a considerable amount of time working on developing a very unique project. So you can walk you guys through the construction portion of that. So you can get an idea of what we're presenting.
Thanks, Kevin. Good evening, members of the Township Board. I just want to mention that we're extremely excited about this project, and we believe that it's going to be a wonderful addition to the community. It was mentioned that we went in front of the Planning Commission. We not only went in front of them for the public hearing, but we also had a study session with them where we came in and introduced the project. And really, as a firm, we try and do that on all of our projects so that it's a group approach to the project in terms of the design. And we got some good input and some good comments from them, and we incorporated those. And when we presented at the public hearing, we walked them through those comments. And I believe at the end, when we got our unanimous approval, that they're very excited about the project as well. So With that said, this site is, could you put the site plan up, please?
Are you the architect or the builder?
I'm sorry if I didn't, Mark Abernathy with Alexander Bogarts, the architects for the project. If I didn't introduce myself, I apologize.
Bob, can you rotate that?
Yeah.
Because well, that's good.
Beautiful.
So this site is a very unique site in terms of not only its shape, and is my.
All right.
So the site is very unique in terms of its shape and the triangular shape, but it's also very unique in terms of the topography. The topography slopes from east to west, drops off quite a bit, and it also drops off from north to south, and then also on that southwest corner down to the park. So there are a lot of challenges in terms of fitting this building into the site, and then how you design the building relative to that. What we ended up doing is we have 2 tiers of parking, and I'll show that to you we have a 3D video walkthrough that we're gonna do. But the way we approach it, on the east side, you can see on that circular drive, we come in on the high side of what we call level 2 of parking. We have 2 levels of parking and then 4 stories of unit above it. So we come in on that high side to level 2, and then as the grade drops down to the west, that's our low side and level 1. So we've taken advantage of that topography to access those 2 parking levels. And we don't need to, by doing that, put ramps inside the building. So it's worked out very well in terms of the design. We also, walkability is very important on all of our projects now, and especially with linkage to downtown. And eventually, there's been discussions with the developer and other neighborhood groups in the county about trying to get access down to the park, which is going to be great for everybody, and especially this development. So we have sidewalks that loop all the way around the building, link up to the parking that's up on the northwest corner. Then we have a porte-cochere right in the center of the building. You can see that cross-hatched area where we have drop-off, and then all of our potential tenants that are interested in living in the project can park there and come directly into the center of the building, which is where the core management area of the building is, leasing, that type of thing, elevator. We have 3 sets of elevators in the center of the building, and then on east and west, servicing basically 40 units per elevator. We have the majority of our parking is under the building, covered spaces, and then we have a little bit of additional parking outside. We have basically 1.6 parking spaces per unit. We've had parking studies done, and we're very comfortable with the parking and that it works for the project. This is called a podium-style building, and that's where you have your parking underneath the building and then your residential above. This is something that's state-of-the-art, and it's also not only very popular across the country, but here in Michigan and Southeast Michigan. We have a number of these on the board. We have 2 that have opened in the last year that are very successful. And one of the great things about it is it gives you that secure covered parking, but it also reduces the building footprint, so that instead of spreading parking all over the site and taking up trees and green space, you give secured covered parking, especially here in Michigan, and then you have much more open space and green space. So on this particular site where it's very tight, that's an excellent solve for the project as well as the marketability of the project. We have a number of different types of units, mainly 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms that fit the target market, and we think that we're in great shape there. So I think what I'd like to do is go to the video now, if we could. And what we'll do is we'll do a quick go-round of the building, and then we'll do another one where we pause. This is looking at the building in the front out towards the southwest. You can see the curvilinear of the porte-cochere there. We have a large mixture of materials, limestone, brick, and a panel detail.
What kind of panel?
A panel detail, it's made out of a fiber cement type of panel. This is the southwest corner of the building. Now we're coming across the back of the building. You can see those 2 levels of parking that we were talking about. And then as they tuck into the grade, you can see them start to transition up to just 1 level as that grade rises to the east.
Does every unit have a balcony?
Yes, all of those balconies, each unit has a balcony. Now we're coming around on the east side and then coming back around to that view looking out to the northwest. Aside from every unit having a balcony, we have this very large rooftop terrace area. All of our social room, work fitness areas, those types of things are going to be up here. We have outdoor seating, indoor seating, covered seating, fireplace, fire pit area. This is looking back into where we'll have our social room fitness areas. Then over on the southwest side of the building overlooking the river, we have another smaller rooftop terrace area. And that's this area. So that's another way of taking advantage of the site and the podium-style building, doing rooftop areas and rooftop amenities. These are the types of things that the tenants that are going to live here are going to look for in terms of the amenities on this building. We also have numerous amenities inside. We're going to have a car wash area. We're going to have dog wash area. We're going to have bike storage. We're going to have individual storage. So a lot of different areas that are inside the building that are additional components. And if we could start the video again and then just pause as we go around each. Pause it here, maybe a decent view of the front. What we try to do is gradiate the building in terms of materials, with the limestone anchoring the base of the building, but then punching up like you see it on the left element and the right element as accent materials, as well as in the center, identifying the entrance. And then from there, we staged up with the brick up into the upper band of the metal panel. But we also drew that metal panel back down into some of the limestone areas. So you get a lot of play of horizontal elements and vertical elements to create interest throughout the project. And we can go all the way around to that west side and stop.
What will the structure of the floors be? Concrete or
The
stick-built
podium,
wood?
the podium is concrete and steel, the first 2 floors, and then from that above is, at this point, we're looking at wood, but we also, based on codes, I think we might be getting into some light gauge in areas, maybe on the outside perimeter. That's to be determined.
I mean, steel?
Light gauge steel, yes, correct.
So studs will be steel.
Studs, correct. And then we go all the way around to the west side. Try to create interest on the ends. We have some of the terraces where you've got the tucked into the corner, and then some of them are cable hung, and then we can slowly progress across the back.
Is that limestone sheets or is it traditional laid by a mason?
It's most likely going to be a paneled sheet, yes. And then once again, we tried to vary the materials on the rear. You can see some of the mechanical towers that are on the back of the building. Those are not on the front. We actually have a different system for the front so that we could have that a little cleaner in terms of some of the architecture, but we tried to incorporate those in terms of strength with that rear and varying those materials.
What's the heating system?
Each one of the units is going to have its own individual heating system.
Forced air?
Yes. We have through walls on the back side and then interior split systems, and then you can gradually go. There are outdoor areas here, and then we start to get into the covered area. We're going to have grill areas which are going to be up against that wall, and we have our covered areas of seating here.
Is there one of these in southeast Michigan that we could look at?
The 2 that I just talked about, one of them is in West Bloomfield. It's just north of 14 Mile and Northwestern on the west side, near the Ferrari dealership there. That's brand new. And then another one that we just completed that's in the southwest area of Royal Oak, around Washington and Parent. And we have another one that's going in up in
Is that near the
Trav-
YMCA in Royal Oak?
near the YMCA?
That's
Is
it.
that what you said?
Yeah, on 11 Mile Road area, 11 and Woodward?
It's, well, if it's west of the main street going up through town over on Washington, and then it's near Washington and Harris, Washington. So it's southwestern portion of downtown.
So it's 14 in Orchard Lake, north.
It's just north of 14. I mean, just north of where Northwestern comes in.
Past the mall or next to the Ferrari? Let's see if it's captured yet.
Yeah, it's right, you can see it right there. It looks like it's under construction there, though. It's that,
This one here.
yep, right there. I don't know if you're gonna get a shot of that from the street. But they're online, and you can go online and see it. Both projects are online, unless you want to drive by and actually look at it.
Ah, there's my car.
Yeah, it's back behind the commercial center there.
There it is.
You got to spin around to the left.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get it here. What's the name of it again? I know we looked at it at the Planning Commission.
Right.
What's the name of the,
Yeah. I'm having a mental block right now.
Okay, well, we know that there are comparable buildings out there.
I can send that, I sent that before to Laura. I can send it again to the Township Board if you'd like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'd be happy to answer any question that you have. That's basically the end of my
Any questions from the
presentation.
board?
Who's your target market, and what is the square footage of the 1 and 2 bedroom?
The target market, that's one thing that's great about these buildings, is that it's because of the elevators and everything is, all the unit is on one floor, living, dining, kitchens are all on one floor. So it can cater to an empty nester, somebody that might want to live in the community, sell their home and live in the community and have a home elsewhere. It's also young millennials. It could be even, I would say that's mainly the target market, those two. So, and the square footage of the units, the mix, we have 120 units, and the mix is 72 one-bedrooms and 48 two-bedroom, two baths. The square footage of the one-bedrooms are basically between 736 and 840 square feet, and the two bedrooms are a little north of 1,100 square feet.
Nice.
So we feel they're right in that sweet spot for creating we're calling this a Class A project from the standpoint of the amenities and the units themselves. The floor to ceiling dimension, all of the glass that you see on that is going to have a lot of natural light. All of the kitchens are going to have state-of-the-art appliances. Even though this is not going to be a LEED-like in terms of certified building, the approach to it is going to be energy efficiency, the way from the mechanical systems like you were questioning, right into the insulation throughout the project and throughout the wall systems, lighting systems, appliances. And they're even talking about putting solar on the roof to try and get a tremendous amount of the energy from the solar panels. So
What's the rent for the 1 and the 2?
the rent structure, without doing the math, they're both targeting about $2 a square foot. And if you have more detailed, Kevin can probably speak to that.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
I have 2 for Kevin then. One is, how do you spell Bob Lentz's last name?
It's L-E-N-Z.
Lenz. And what is the status of getting the easement from the city of Plymouth for the entrance to the Riverside Cemetery?
It's in process. They're working with, city, right now the council's working with them. Apparently someone's out of town for the next few weeks, so we're gonna push it off into the beginning of January.
That will be for trash pickup only, or will it also be the entrance for the parking?
Just trash and move in, move outs. So as you move your stuff out, you don't come out to the front door, you move it out to the side, east entrance.
All right, so it won't be heavily trafficked.
No.
All right.
Okay, any other questions from the
Where
board?
does it come in, I don't remember that. Where does it come into the cemetery at?
Right over here.
Right there,
Yeah, right there.
behind the courthouse.
Next to the, right behind the
Yeah,
courthouse?
right behind the
Yeah.
courthouse,
There's a driveway to the courthouse.
Right there.
Right there.
right there, yeah.
There's another driveway to the courthouse right here, which I believe goes right into their
Their garage.
underground-
The trash
Underground.
receptacle pickup, I think, is the first cutout.
Their what?
I think they have a trash receptacle
Okay.
cutout there too.
I know they have a prisoner drop-off
Maybe that's what that
area
is.
under there
Yeah.
too. Okay, any other questions from the board? Anybody in the public? All righty, I'm gonna look for a motion.
Mr.
Bob, would you like to do that? You're our planning commission. Oh, Mr. Zantop, hold on. 3 minutes.
I hear you say something about a historical marker on the property?
Correct.
And what does that say? What is it about?
That's yet to be determined. The Historic District Commission would take a look at that.
It's the former hillside inn and the history behind the farmhouse that was there, I assume,
Yes.
Something like that.
which turned into the Hillside Inn.
Okay, Bob?
Mr. Supervisor, I move to adopt resolution number 2021-12-14-77, authorizing approval of the Hillside Overlook Apartments Planned Unit Development Option at 41661 Plymouth Road, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay, motion's made by trustee Dorchevitz, seconded by trustee Kermy. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you.
see you all later. Next is item F2. This is the extension of the purchase agreement for surplus lands at the DPW yard. Mr. Leo Gonzalez is here with us again tonight. He's also submitted a memo to the board outlining his request for additional time, and we all are earnestly hoping, Mr. Gonzalez, that this will be the last time we see you on this particular matter. Can you make that happen?
And I as well. Members of the board, Leo Gonzalez on behalf of Acquisitions of Real Property LLC, Roman number 3. I provided an outline on the project. Some of it is redacted from a previous letter, just sort of a history on the DPW. And then I also provided a most current update of where we are with the drawings. I was, since this letter, I've been notified by my architect that we're gonna have the package completed this month and for submittal. I'm gonna wait not to submit to Wayne County until I get some feedback from the engineer, because we've gotta make some modifications. I don't wanna send something to the Wayne County. Having said that, Wayne County's already seen the package. I submitted it back in the summer and was given the input to proceed with the conclusions that we had provided to them, stormwater calculations, the method that we were using. So I'm confident that, this plan kind of meets within their guidelines, but now we're at a point where we'll submit to the planning and engineering and have them give us some input on on what we're planning here. We had some setbacks with the survey group, the original group I started with. I didn't have the benefit of switching survey groups. I just felt that it would take too much to start over. Having said that, I had to wait 6 to 9 weeks to get them out there. It was a long, lengthy period of time to go out and do some follow-up field work. That was really the result, and I'll share with you, is when the DPW was done, there was no as-built ever established for the sewers. Typically, when I'm finished with a project like this, or anybody in the township is finished with a project, they'll provide the community or provide the township an as-built. Basically, going back out there, re-verifying everything in just layman's terms, that everything that was planned to be built was built the way it was. So we had to pick up on some of that information, sanitary, water lines, depth of the sanitary lines, get an understanding of the inverts and how we're gonna utilize, because we are utilizing existing sanitary that's out there. We have to make some modifications to those lines to accommodate this development. And just an overall, evaluation of the topography out there. It's a bit challenging, you've got a grade differentiation of 15 feet on the west side of this property, and you just have only so much room to put this industrial building into. But we're past, we've gotten through those sort of evaluations, and I'm pleased to be at this point with the project. Pushing, I did have a setback with one of my engineers. He passed away, a young man that was assigned to this project. We did switch engineers. We didn't switch surveyors. We switched engineers because I just was not confident with the other engineer that he would get it done timely. And, that's, my circumstances is not unique. Everybody that is dealing with trades of every aspect of this industry, building and many other industries, service-related, are seeing extensive delays. So we're still committed to this. I think it's a good project when I started off, and we're gonna get it finished up. That's the goal. This is a development that's important. We'll build it, we'll own it. It'll be part of my retirement, so we're gonna see this thing through. Any other questions that the
Any
board
other
may have?
questions that the board has?
Yeah, I have several. Do you have equity in this project?
Well,
All right.
absolutely.
On page, how much money have you given Plymouth Township to date? And when is the next payment due
So
under the current contract?
under the current contract, we gave you $10,000 when we asked for the last extension.
You
Under the
received
new-
it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is non-refundable.
That was 1 year ago?
No, that's
It was
6
back-
months
That was
ago,
in June,
6 months?
actually July.
and now we're proposing another $10,000, which we will provide such check at such time we complete the addendum, the extension of the 6 month. The extension, this current term goes through the end of the year. So in the next 2 weeks or the week or so, we'll draft an addendum reflective of a 6 month extension, so long as the board
It's in the agenda.
approves it. And then upon signature of that, we'll provide another $10,000 check.
Yeah, that addendum is already in our
Yeah.
agenda pack,
So the $10,000 will be paid in January?
It'll be
20
paid when we execute the addendum.
which would be January of next year.
Yeah, January 1st or
January.
January 2nd.
Okay, because on page 96 of 111, which is your summary, first of all, the easy one, this didn't begin in May 2019. It probably began in May of 2018.
Yeah, my cover memo says December 17th of 2018.
Right.
I do know, though, Leo, that I believe after the contract expired the first time, I believe you actually terminated the contract. You withdrew, I believe, and then you came back.
Here's what happened. We had to legally describe these parcels. It was all one parcel. And I think we had an agreement that did not have the legal descriptions in effect. Then I went ahead and legally described so we could attach it to the purchase agreement. I don't know if I ever allowed my purchase agreement to lapse. I don't have any recollection of that. But the way this would work, this addendum is drafted and the $10,000 goes as a consideration for an extension of the contract.
Okay, so that's why I asked, the last sentence here on that page 96, so I'm confused by this. It says, "For such consideration, the buyer shall offer Plymouth Township a $10,000 non-refundable extension fee, which shall be applied to the purchase price."
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm confused. That's not an option or a, if you don't consummate the deal, we don't get the 10,000 based on that words.
Yes, you do.
If you,
Non-refundable.
It's non-refundable.
So if I don't.
when you say
if I-
applied to the purchase price.
Well,
But
that's-
once it's completed,
Right, there's two thought process there. If I walk away from the deal, it's non-refundable when I write the check. Now, but if I walk away from the deal, you retain the money. If I close on the property, then the money becomes applicable to the seller.
So that's my point. It's not really an option. It's just going towards the purchase price.
Down payment.
Yeah, it's part of the down payment.
Non-refundable
It's a
down
good
payment.
faith down payment, you call it what you will.
It's a non-refundable.
It indicates good faith,
So
basically.
you're not really paying anything for this 4 years of holding this property off the market.
if he walks
I
away.
am if I walk away from it.
Well, that's the investment, you're talking about the investment in engineering and planning.
Correct.
That's what you would, but you don't have any specific money that us as the seller has.
$20,000.
20, as of the next addendum, if I walk away
Giving us 20,000.
If
June
it's in the
of,
purchase price, I'm confused.
It's deducted from the purchase price.
Well,
When we close on this, rather than
Right, but it-
425, it's 405.
But he's not actually paying any money to keep this property off the market.
Not buying an option.
Right, that's what I'm trying to understand.
No, but if he walks away, it's non-refundable.
Yeah, but
Understand, but if he doesn't, he's benefited from the growth in market value of the property.
for 4 years,
Presumably.
for 4 years.
Well, but he's already invested thousands of dollars into the engineering and design and.
Right, but.
and
stormwater and all
tens of
that.
thousands of guys
Tens of
beyond
But
what I
usually,
paid you.
all developers do that when they buy property and speculate, right? Like these guys right here, I guess I don't know if they own the property or not, the apartment complex.
It's a
So
purchase
who's
agreement.
we
though.
when you
Jerry,
talk
can
about
you
we?
explain that?
who's
It's just,
we?
it's really a simple
Currently,
purchase
it's my
agreement
project.
with a
Well,
non-refundable
netted part of the
deposit
project. He's
if
not-
I walk
Leo,
away.
Leo, Jerry's trying to explain.
This is a real simple purchase agreement for property, common in the industry. And if it's non-refundable, if I walk away, we keep the money. If not, then it goes toward the purchase price. That's a common way of doing a purchase agreement for real property.
But not for 4 years.
Well, then you want to put you want to not do it and then put it back on the market and see what you get? You can do that, but you've got a bird in hand.
No, the other thing you can do is ask for the money to be paid as an option type system. So it doesn't come off the purchase price.
Even option money is sometimes rolled into the purchase price.
Okay. Any other
So
questions?
what is your confidence that you'll complete the sale by June 30th of 2022?
At this point, with the engineering, the field work done, I'm comfortable that we're gonna be able to close. We will still not have all our approvals by June 6th or end of June. It's not likely. Having said that, we'll have enough information and understand what the county's expectations are, and we'll be able to go ahead and close. We'll have to get through a few meetings with the planning commission, but it's a zone, what I'm asking for here is entitled by right. We're not asking for a building that's not permitted in this zoning. So we're really keeping in the spirit of that district over there.
But one doesn't really have anything to do with the other, but the Taco Bell Panera project is still unfinished.
As you said, one.
I mean,
Well, it's the
Bob,
same people's money.
but Bob, I mean, that's not on the agenda. I mean, I know you make, I understand your
No.
point,
It's a
But I'm not-
credibility issue.
but, well, it has to be addressed to another party, though.
Has to
And
be
that's
addressed
not,
where?
it has to be addressed to another party, and that's what's in front of the board tonight. I mean, you can, you know. Okay, any other questions regarding this particular request?
So if you come back in June, in June, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be ready. So there'll be another extension request?
Well, I mean, that's your assumption, Chuck.
Well, you said that you didn't expect the planning commission to
but-
have reviewed everything and
That's
have
right,
all the
but-
approvals.
But the other part of that, if what you listen to, the other part of it is that at that point, we'll be prepared because I'll know enough from the county of what their expectations are and their review, you know, 1 or 2 review letters, that we'll be comfortable closing on this thing without our final approvals, which is not unusual in a speculative. This is still speculative from that standpoint, but I'm comfortable now with having the heavy lift done on the site, the field work, and having the input from the county that we're gonna get this thing done.
Okay, any other questions from the board or the public? Then I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Clerk?
I move for the Township Board approve Resolution 2021-12-1478, authorizing the Township Supervisor and Clerk to sign the real estate purchase agreement amendment with Phoenix Management Holdings LLC IV for surplus township parcels located at 46555 Port Street.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second? I will second that motion. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Kermy.
No.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
No.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes,
Clerk Vorba, yes. Motion does not carry.
Thank you, gentlemen,
the
for
motion
your
carried.
input.
I've got
3-2.
3-2, it passed.
for people here. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. It carries.
okay, but
trying to
but Leo, you're on thin ice. I mean, that's a 3-2 vote, so. Okay. All right, item F3, trash collection fee adjustment for 2022. Ginger has put together a comprehensive memo on this and backup. This is something that we also did last year around this time. We always have to, well, not always, but in recent years, we have had to adjust the trash collection fee to match the contractual fee increase found in our contract with GFL. Ginger, does this also cover some of the expenses relating to our Household Hazardous Waste Day?
Well, this is actually covering the overall operational expenses of the entire fund.
Okay,
So the total fund that was approved by the board for 2022 increased 3.5% this year over last year. So total expenses increased 55,000. The requested revenue increase is based on approximately 8,850 residents. So that was an estimated or projected resident count. The resident count changes, is variable, especially during the winter months when we have snowbirds that come and go during summer, winter months. So it's a projected resident count based on what we expect to collect per month. So the budget that was put before the board that was approved for 2022 included the resident count at a monthly trash collection fee of $15.75 as approved. However, we need to come back to the board to approve that fee to be increased from the current rate at $15.25 per month to $15.75 in order to cover the operational costs of the fund.
okay.
So back to Kurt Heisey's question, what is your assumption in there for hazardous waste day expense? That's what he
The
asked.
hazardous waste day was included as part of the entire budget. The community household hazard waste increased from 21 to 22 by an amount of $9,800 over the prior year, which was in our budget.
How much?
9,800, so $10,000.
$9,800 was the increase over the prior
That's
year.
bad, actually. Because
That was
remember,
over- That was over the 5-day, the 2-week one
Yeah.
we did this year.
yeah, the 2-week one over the drive-through that we did the year before. Because we did the.
Our base now is the the 2-week one self-service
Yeah.
in
Right.
Livonia.
Yeah,
So we added another 10,800 or 9,800?
9,000.
9,800 based on 1,200 vehicles.
Yeah,
Okay, so you think we're covered?
yeah. But we knew that there was going to be an added expense with household hazardous waste, the 2-week thing, which really was very successful. And we, as remember, we also had a $5 copay for people who participated in that.
That was included, minus the
Yes.
$5 per vehicle.
So, and
Things may change after October 1 of 2022.
Yes,
We may have a new contract. By the way, the newspaper said that South Lyon and Milford only got a 4% increase in their new contract, which was shocking.
Shocking.
well, we'll see.
GFL.
Yeah, we'll see what the market bears. I know we've had about 8 hits so far on our Mitten, MITN, which is the statewide
When are the bids due again?
purchasing system. Pardon me?
When are the bids due?
April
April
22nd.
2nd, yeah. Late April. Okay. Any other questions for Ginger on this one? Again, it's nothing unusual. We did this around the same time last year. Actually, it was Mark Clinton who brought this forward last year. And Ginger's also caught it as well.
So if we don't do this, what will be the size of the deficit by the third quarter?
Well, this produces $6,200 or $62,000 in revenue, and with a budget increase of $55,000, you could do the math. There
asking
would
you to
be
do
a
the math.
budget shortfall.
So about how much is it?
7.
7,000 shortfall?
No,
56,
will be 7,000 plus.
62 minus 55,
Yeah.
7.
$6,600 surplus, so it'd be
It's pretty
yeah,
tight.
$55,600 shortfall. So the revenue increase would be $62,000 to the budget. So if we do not increase it, there would be a $62,000 shortfall.
But part of Sarah's salary comes out of this as well. She's going to get a pay
The
raise.
operational
So
increase overall is the
another way to
entire
look at it
budget.
is, what is there, 9,000 houses? 50 cents per month times 12 is $6, times 9,000 is 54,000.
Right.
There you go. Okay,
Did that without a calculator.
any other
very
questions?
good.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ginger? All right, then I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move to approve Resolution 2021-12-1479, which, effective with January 2021 water billing cycle, adjusts the trash collection fee from $15.25 per month to $15.75 per month.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorba, seconded by Trustee Dorchevitz. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next up is item F4. This is a brief update on the 2021 goals list. This again was a suggestion made by Treasurer Clinton around this same time last year. And this is not our goal-setting meeting. Our goal-setting meeting will take place on January 11th. It will be a far more involved and detailed item. But this is just to show progress that has been made on all of our scorecard items that we agreed to back in January. Obviously, if it's green, it's ongoing. Done is done. And no action just means that we haven't gotten around to it yet, or we may have had just time constraints, or maybe it wasn't even necessary. I know, like, for example, the refinancing of the township hall bonds was a very high priority. No action was taken because, in consultation with Treasurer Clinton and our other financial experts, there really was no upside to accelerating that or modifying that in any way.
So you may want to change the wording on some of these. We took action, like in that case, but
Okay.
the outcome was
Not necessary.
not feasible, or
Yeah.
not desirable, or not beneficial. or-
Right.
I don't know what the word is, but if we put no action, that makes it look like we did nothing, but we did something.
Okay.
The
So
action
we-
was, did the analysis and determined that it made no sense.
We have several like that in here, I
Right.
think.
Okay, that's good, thank you. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and we'll have this document again in front of you all on January 11th. Couple things like replacing the wooden fence, we delayed that one because it was just not cost effective at this point. Upgrading the forest walkway at Township Park, another example of a delayed action. Let's see.
You changed well, okay, for example, implement mandatory attestation.
Yeah, we can.
We didn't do, we did the work,
We
but
did
we
the
decided
action.
not to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, move forward.
Yeah, I
decided
agree.
not to move forward on it. So we got to think of some words.
Okay, no, and
those-
that's perfect. I like
That's
that.
good,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Other things like.
Golf course entrance,
Yes.
let's talk about that. We've got a drawing, and it's engineered already.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you all about that again in January, because we're getting complaints again from residents about the safety issues at the current exit entrance at Beck Road. I think what we have to do is, I think we have to approach this differently. I think from maybe from a public relations standpoint, we didn't do it the way we should have. I think what we need to do is work very closely with the homeowners association to the south, in conjunction with the golf course operators, to more fully explain this and to maybe even demonstrate to the residents to the south that this could be an amenity for their neighborhood. They see it as a hindrance. They see it as a
Right, which
downside.
today, you're right, but I think now that there's a light at McClumpha, a lot of those cut-through concerns go away.
They do.
I think I really didn't think it was much of an issue, because it's
No,
difficult to
it's like
cut-
a snake in
It's
there.
very difficult to cut through that
Yeah.
neighborhood. I mean, you gotta really know
Where
the
you're
back,
going.
the back
South.
country, you know,
Oh,
where
yeah.
where you're going. And I agree, Chuck, I mean, cutting through McClumpha now is far more appealing.
And it's safer.
Yeah,
Much
And-
safer,
And it may be quicker,
Yeah.
because you'll get a break in traffic,
exactly.
more so than being in an uncontrolled intersection
yeah.
where you come out at Annabelle Road.
Absolutely.
I think I did a poor job of trying to get that out into the public. I think it was just sort of, to me, it was very obvious, and I thought it would be widely embraced, but it was not. So I think we just have to take our time next time and go through this in a more methodical way. We're also still gonna have to get some permissions from Wayne County as well. There's some traffic issues that need to be dealt with.
We don't actually have to close the road back if we don't want to.
No, we could always leave it open for maintenance purposes, but we would be totally responsible for the maintenance. It's a dirt road, but it's not gonna be heavily traveled. We could still use it for maintenance. So again, I don't want to get in the weeds of this, but this is just to give you an update on, we've made a lot of progress this year. I'm asking for a pay raise tonight, so I know one of the things that Mark had suggested at the last time we had the pay raise meeting was, why don't we go through the goals from the previous year so that we can justify our pay raise? So blame Mark, okay? It's all his fault. But this is pretty good.
So you
and
get
I'm-
to set the goals,
Well,
score
yeah.
the goals, and give yourself a raise
I
if
know.
you meet the goal.
Well, and that's.
Beautiful thing.
And I'll tell you,
Big
that's
goal.
one of the things you go back and watch the tape, that's one of the things I told him back at that meeting. I said, well, that's great, we'll just create super easy goals that are easily attainable. Give ourselves a gold star.
But a lot of this, a lot of work went into a lot of this, and so I'm
Yeah.
Tell me
glad.
about we replaced the cleaning contractor already?
We have a contract out, we've received, I believe, 7 bids?
5 bids.
5 bids.
And we're reviewing them.
We're in the process of reviewing them. Our goal is to award a contract
Probably
in
in
January,
June.
February.
So the incumbent, where we gave him another chance, they
They
did not?
bid, no, they bid.
They bid on it, but we think it's time for
But their
somebody
performance
new.
didn't improve?
We think it's time for somebody new. So, and they can give us their best shot, and we'll take all comers. So obviously, some other things are still ongoing, and I expect that the ongoing items you will see again in the 2022 goals list. Okay? So I'm gonna move on. This was not an action item, so I'm gonna move on if that's okay with you guys.
Yes.
So item F5 is salary adjustments for the deputy clerk and deputy treasurer. I know this is something that, prior to his departure, I know Treasurer Clinton was supportive of as well, for Amy Hammy. But I'm gonna let Jerry, carry the ball here on this one. If you need any help, let me know.
Sure, thank you very much. And thank you, Board of Trustees. You know, the functions of the deputies is a statutory one. And they work in close conjunction and in harmony with the department head, that is the treasurer and the clerk, in performing the necessary functions of each one of these positions. And you can see now how important that is when you see we have someone absent for a little while, that the deputy is stepping up in good fashion and performing all the functions of the treasurer outside of voting. And that's what deputies do. They can do everything for the public. They can do everything that the department head or the clerk or the treasurer does, except for vote on issues. And so it's a very important function, and they've done just a wonderful job. You can see that Amy has really stepped up and done a wonderful job here. And if you look at the last election cycle we had, Paula and her team did an outstanding job on the election. We had 3 elections. We had all kinds of rule and law changes that occurred in the election aspects of the clerk's department, and they came through with great colors. And so what we're putting forward here is the last time that the deputy clerk received any kind of pay increase was in 2017. And the last time that the deputy treasurer had received any pay increase was a couple years ago. And so we're putting forward that we offer them a 2.5% increase for those positions. We think with all that's going on in the economy and all the requirements of these positions, that it's important to pay people commensurate with their effort and the requirements that are required of them in the law. And so if you're going to keep good qualified people like Amy and Paula in these positions, I think it's important to recognize that. And I would certainly receive any of your questions. And also in this is a section where the deputy clerk on election years, and this is election years only, would receive some, really what amounts to some overtime pay. In the last election cycle, where all the laws have changed and there was a lot more time and effort put into this. And of course, going forward, there's going to be an extreme amount of scrutiny, both from the citizens, from political parties, from the news media. We're going to be under the microscope. Every clerk is going to be under the microscope across the nation, and especially in Michigan, when you have a kind of a bellwether state like Michigan, where one year it goes one way and next year it goes another. So we're going to be really under the microscope, and it's going to require a lot of effort. In that election cycle, our election specialist, who is immediately under the deputy clerk, received over $10,000 in overtime pay because of the changes in the laws and the requirements of all the applications for absentee ballots. It just, everything increased. 2 other employees just under them that were administrative assistants who worked overtime for elections made $7,000 a year. This put them making more than the deputy clerk did. And she clearly put in more hours than anyone in this. And so as a matter of equity, I think we need to recognize that kind of effort, and in order to keep the person in that position, that we have a situation where the person's going to receive straight time pay for the hours they work. The deputy clerk clocks in and out every day, and so we'll be able to see the effort that went into it. She did something around 275 hours of overtime last year. And
You mean
so
in 20?
in 2020.
2020.
Yeah, and so you can't have the person who's the supervisor making less money than the people who are helping them. And so I think just equity calls for some payment there. The 10,000 is a maximum. I would expect that in a 3-election year. Next year is going to be a 2-election year. And so you're looking at probably 180 to 200 hours of overtime at straight pay. And And I think it's appropriate to recognize that kind of effort and would enjoy and appreciate your support.
Okay, so the last deputy pay increase was when Sandy Growth came on board?
Exactly.
That was the last one. That was in became
17.
effective in 2017.
Yeah, in January
It was voted in
2017.
2016, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it was on January 24th, 2017, the board set the annual salary of the deputy clerk at 68.9 and the deputy treasurer at 64. On February 11th, 2020, the board raised up the deputy treasurer's salary
same level.
to the same level. So the office of deputy clerk has not received a pay raise since January of 2017.
So what about paying the deputy treasurer for stepping into,
That's not on the agenda tonight, and it would kind of have, it's something it's something we could revisit at a later point. It came, that idea is out there, but
And I think that's an important.
I just think it's premature right now, and we're not sure when Mark will be
Yeah.
in the office all the time.
I think it's important, and I agree with you. When we devised this, Mark was still here, so this has been in the works for a couple of months, and so the event that has happened is recent, but it's appropriate that we do consider that.
so is there, I can't think of what it might be, but is there anything that would make it not legal to pay a premium to a salaried deputy clerk?
No.
Well, state law says that the
done by
offices
them.
shall be paid by salary or otherwise as determined by the township board.
But it's not going to be discretionary based on,
Well, the discretionary part is sometimes you may have 2 elections, you may have 3 elections, so the 10 is the maximum,
it's,
and that
but
would
it's
occur.
compensation for working more.
More hours, exactly. But it could be
It's going to be straight time compensation.
straight time
not time and a half.
compensation, not time and a half. And so the discretionary part is just that, gosh, what if someone files for, more elections?
What if, now 2020 was unique in that you had all these new laws, all these new people voting, all these people voting absentee. I just see 2020 as a high watermark. And
Yes.
so I just think that, we're not going to add 20,000 new voters in the next 6 months. So the number of hours that the deputy works, this is going to be determined.
It's gonna be
She's not going to work as much
As 2020,
as
because
she
it's.
worked in 20, nobody will, I would hope.
Well, the thing is one, we don't know how many people are going to file for absentee ballots. Right now, we have 24,000 voters in the township, and just over 15,000 people asked for absentee ballots that you have to process. And our absentee, what we call the permanent list, prior to that year, there were 5,500 people on the permanent list.
So it
After the
tripled
change,
list.
after the change in the list, we have over 12,000 that are on the permanent list. So now we've got to mail out more than 2 times the amount, plus anybody else who comes along and asks for it. So just so you know, this is not your father's or your grandfather's election process anymore. It's going to be different going forward. The number of people who are going to be participating is going to increase. In 2020, we had 2,500 more voters, actual voting people, than we did in 16. You know that in our census, we only gained 400 people in 10 years.
Right.
And
That
so
worries me. You said 2,500 more,
2,500 more.
and the population didn't increase.
No,
So that means either they were they had motivated new people,
yes.
or you had dead people voting. Or
No, there's no dead people voting in Plymouth Township, I can tell you
That-
I
that.
think you had a lot of college kids too, who
Yeah.
were home because of COVID,
Yeah.
and they were registering
So they
to
got
vote.
motivated.
Yeah.
They were
And-
motivated by somebody.
And so you had college kids that would have normally been in college partying, maybe enjoying different types of activities, before.
Studying?
And they were, no, I don't think they were doing that, but where this time they were home and their mom and dad drug them to the voting booths and they voted. And so, what's going to happen going forward is that number is just going to increase no matter what the issue is.
Well,
Maybe not. You never know.
What the point that I want to make, Jerry, is I think that the whole idea is that it's at your discretion, okay? And I'm assuming that in the interest of transparency, that you're going to want to base that on hours worked.
It's hours
or something
worked.
like that. I just don't think, the numbers aren't there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a non-presidential year.
Yeah.
It's
No.
going to be intense, but I just don't see it being as bad as 2020. Just
No.
because, I mean, we're almost at like almost everybody who is eligible to vote is registered now in some form or fashion. So.
We're very
It's not
close to it.
discretionary in the sense that you did a great job, here's $5,000 extra
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah, it's got to be based on something.
Jerry and I talked about this. He gave me this piece of paper. I think we should weave some of this in here, because I don't want it to be, just like you're saying, a bonus, discretionary bonus. So we need to say, based on
Well,
actual hours worked,
not to
calculated at straight time.
Not to exceed even number election year at the discretion of the country, based on
Hours
hours worked, straight
at-
time.
At straight time rate.
And I'll add that to
Does
it.
that have to be in the motion?
I can make
I
it.
would.
Hours worked,
Hours worked,
straight
time.
time.
I trust Jerry.
That was the concept that I floated by Paula. It was a concept I floated by Mark and Kurt when I was devising this. So the idea, the only discretion part was, well, sometimes you're gonna have fewer or more elections.
Boy, Mark sure agreed to a lot when he's not here.
That's what I love about this.
That's great.
That's what I love about this.
He does watch us on TV,
Yeah, he
so be
is,
careful.
he's watching right now.
Hi, Mark.
Okay, the other question or the point that I want to make is with respect to the regular increase of 2.5%. That is just for calendar year 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not retro, and that's still subject to renewal. This is not a 2.5% perpetual
Yeah.
annual.
Wait a minute. If you give a 2.5% raise, that rate will be there forever, 2.5%. Let's say you're making 10,000 now.
Well,
No, what he means is that it's at our discretion, we can draw it back.
that's not, no, it's not what I meant. Both of you are wrong. Remember, the office of deputy clerk, unless I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, correct me. The office of deputy clerk at 68.9 has not had a raise since 2017.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's been 4 years.
Right.
So that office never got any kind of pay raise.
Right. So now-
So this is a one-time, that's why it's in the motion.
Oh, what he's saying,
a
it's not
one-time-
repetitive.
It's not going, this is not going to repeat every year. Because the deputy clerks have this unique status in state law, we have to, I would like to make this more of an ongoing issue where we review this every year, like we do with the other department heads. Because with the other department heads, we approve them en masse because they're not covered by state law like this. They shall be paid by salary or otherwise as determined by the township board. That puts them in a very unique status. So if we want to give them another pay raise next year,
Have to revisit.
then I would revisit this in December. But this is not meant to be an ongoing, perpetual.
I see what you mean.
They get 2.5% a year to infinity.
Right, it's
because
a one-time.
It's one time.
So the new salary will be 70,622.
Okay.
Based on the way I'll calculate it.
Yeah.
That's 1.025 times 68.9
Yes,
is 70,622.
where I went to school.
And again, if we want to revisit that next year, that's fine.
It's a one-time raise.
It's a one-time raise.
Exactly, because that's just the way the law is, and that's the way we've been doing it really for long before I got here.
Yeah, but if we don't have to renew it.
No.
If we don't renew it, it's not gonna roll back to 68.9.
No.
No.
Gotta make that clear.
No.
And next year, we could do something else. We might do nothing. For deputy clerk, we've done nothing for 4 years. And then for Amy Hammy, it's
2 years.
been 2 years. No, deputy clerk. 68, no, I have the file on this.
Okay.
Okay,
It was-
quit while you're ahead, make the
It
motion.
was January 24th.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to adopt resolution.
Oh, wait a minute, we got a
We got
question?
someone?
Sure.
I heard you right, Jerry. But I think there's 27,000 people in the township or somewheres in that area.
Yeah.
You said there's 24,000 voters. That's what we just heard.
Yes, we're a very mature community, and so there's very few children.
There's only 3,000
Yeah.
children in the
Yeah.
township? That don't sound right.
Yeah,
The average age now in the township is about 56.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
yeah.
It was-
We're very mature, not old.
Wow.
I want to be on record.
High mileage.
So I'm still below average.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm-
so Jerry, continue.
I move to adopt resolution 2021-12-14-80, authorizing a one-time salary adjustment of 2.5% for the full-time offices of deputy clerk and deputy treasurer effective January 1, 2022, and authorizing the finance director to appropriate fund balances in the amount of $4,200, amending the 2022 general fund budget as needed to provide for salary adjustments for the same. In addition, authorizing the office of the deputy clerk be entitled to a premium pay not to exceed $10,000 in an even-numbered election year based on actual hours worked at straight time,
And at the discretion
at
of
the discretion of the township clerk.
clerk.
Thank you.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Bob Dorchevitz. Take the roll, please.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next up is a request for salary adjustments for the Board of Trustees. As you may recall, the previous board, back in 2016, in their lame duck session, did away with the Compensation Commission. Previously, the township had a Compensation Commission, which was charged with setting salaries every other year pursuant to state law. That's how a Compensation Commission works. The previous board did away with that for reasons that are still a mystery to me, although I have some theories as to why they did that. But so be it. It never was, the Compensation Commission was never reinstituted. So the last time there was any kind of pay raise since 2016, actually probably 2015, was last year when the board authorized a one-time increase of 2%. And I am again asking for another increase of 2% for all of the offices, the three full-time offices, and for the trustee positions. This would be effective January 1st, 2022, and similarly to the deputies that we just talked about, who, we all occupy a special position, unlike the department heads or the other employees. So this is something that we could revisit again next year. We may choose to do nothing. We may choose to go in a different direction, but my request would be for a 2% increase for all of our positions. Ginger has prepared a chart showing what that would look like from a salary standpoint and also a expenditure standpoint.
So it's $8,000, is that what that means up there, Ginger?
And Ginger, for example, then, a portion of my salary also comes out of DDA and some other funds? Okay. We're not gonna,
Yeah.
that doesn't change the number. I wanna make that clear. So, okay, so that's what it is, and again, I don't know if we'll be back with this again next year. We'll be on the eve of an election year next at this time next year, so maybe this will be the last one for a while, but I think this reflects the good work that we have done, and also the fact that we're still very comparable, if not still below, what many of our surrounding communities would employ.
What did the surrounding communities increase in 2021?
Well, it varies considerably because you have, most of these communities, you still have newly elected officials, like in Canton and Northville.
Well, they've been there a year.
So, yeah, been there a year, but the compensation commissions would have met in that odd number year. I think in Livonia, I think they just authorized for the mayor and the two, the clerk and the treasurer, I think at least a 4.
Yes.
4 or 6. Plus
Six?
they got I think at least a 4. Plus they got a COVID bonus.
Yes.
Which we certainly did not get. So,
COVID bonus for staying home?
Yeah.
well, no, for the mayor and the.
Yeah, they stayed home.
Yeah.
So I'm not in Livonia. And I would also just remind
Maybe that was
folks
a good thing.
that,
That might have saved money by staying
So-
home, right?
so I know that, for example, and it's not always an apples and oranges comparison. If you look at Northville, the supervisor there, it's an honorary position. He runs the meeting and he participates in some of the discussions, but they have a full-time township manager who I think makes at least $145,000 a year. Plus he has a deputy township manager who probably makes certainly more than I do. I know in Canton,
Have a deputy in Northville Township?
yeah.
Yes.
A deputy township manager.
Can you
Now,
say fat?
Now, in Canton, the supervisor there, she's been there for a year, and she makes, I want to say, about 120.
Yeah.
And she just hired a deputy supervisor who's making at least that much.
That much, yeah.
So, and I'm not being
Paper
critical.
said 140, but that wasn't true.
I don't know, but I'm not being critical of anybody. I know our meetings are watched and scrutinized, but, everybody does things their own way, and, Canton Township has also got 100,000 people. We don't. So, again, it's not always an apples to oranges comparison. But in Plymouth Township, the way we are structured is that the supervisor is both an elected official with ceremonial responsibilities, statutory responsibilities, but, we're here all the time, and, I'm comparable to a city manager as well as being an elected official. And same with Jerry and Mark. I mean, these guys are here all day. They know what they're doing, and I think collectively, we, with your support as trustees over the last 5 years, have done a remarkable turnaround of this township, and I think that these adjustments are commensurate with a lot of the work that we've done as well.
In the first 4 years, we received no pay
We
increases.
received no pay raise in 17, 18, or 19, yeah. Meanwhile, inflation during that time went up about 6 or 8%.
I don't think you received anything in 20 either.
Well, yeah, you're right.
21, yeah.
Yeah.
No, 21,
No,
you got a raise.
We approved it in 20.
But it was
We got
effective for 21.
We got it
For
in
4
21,
years,
so.
So it was
yeah,
4 years of no raises.
No raises, yeah.
The trustees went more than 4 years, I think.
I think you did,
The-
because
The trustees went maybe 6.
I think you went back to 2015 or maybe 14,
Yeah, that's what I think.
so. Okay, anybody want to make a motion? Anybody in the audience? No, you guys are good?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2021-12-1481, authorizing a one-time salary adjustment of 2% for the Office of Supervisor, Treasurer, and Clerk, and 2% for the trustee positions, effective January 1, 2022, authorizing the Finance Director to appropriate fund balance in the amount of $8,000, amending the 2022 general fund budget as needed to provide the salary adjustments for the elected positions of Supervisor, Treasurer, Clerk, and Trustees.
Thank you. I will second that motion. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Public comment, limited to 3 minutes.
Dan Callahan, 42500 Clemens Drive. I'd like to say that thank you for everything that the board has done, with the exception of Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart tagged me, along with a bunch of other Republicans, as domestic terrorists, and I have not received an apology. Thank you.
All right.
I too do not like being called domestic terrorist, neither do my fellow veterans. And I still have got my apology from Mr. Stewart for calling us domestic terrorists. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, public comment. Bob, all set? John Stewart? All set? You're good? Okay, Jerry?
Again, just want to thank the board for all their hard work over this past year. This is a new trustee board for the first year, so thank everybody for doing that. And also, I want to thank Amy, Hammy, and Claudia for stepping up and doing a great job in the treasurer's department. I think that's wonderful. And for everybody else who's been pitching in and kind of helping out there. So I really do appreciate that and wish Mark a speedy recovery and return back to us. We miss you, Mark.
Actually, Kurt, if I may,
Yeah.
just quickly, I'd like to echo that and wish Mark a speedy recovery. We're lucky to have him, and I hope he returns. And second, I just wanted to quickly, I forgot, I was going to quickly hit upon the letter that came out this morning, and all I would encourage you all to do is go watch the beginning of the Planning Commission meeting from last time. It's about the first hour, because I don't think it was really characterized.
You're talking about the
This
email?
number 24 something? Well,
Are you talking about the email that we got?
Yeah, the
Okay.
email.
Yes, thank you.
it's item 24 something, 2419 on
Yeah.
the, okay. What was
We're
the
talking
subject?
about the rezoning for the Northridge Church property.
Oh, okay, all
The
right.
email that we got today.
Yeah, I saw that. It was from somebody who was a mediator.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. But I've referred it, it's a letter from a lawyer, so I referred it to Kevin.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I would encourage, the Board of Trustees to take a 45 minutes and watch the beginning of it.
45 minutes.
Well,
Thank you.
25 of it was me talking.
Ah, yeah, I figured. All right, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, can you tell us what was the outcome of the vote? No? Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you, no, the outcome of the vote was to postpone there was three options to postpone it for 90 days to give them the opportunity to, look at their site plan again.
And who was the presenter, or was it Leo Gonzalez?
No, it's a new guy, I forget his name,
So,
representing the law guy.
So he's representing Solvay again?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not John Pastor, though.
no, it's a new guy.
It's a new guy.
All right. Please pray for the speedy recovery of Mark Clinton. And Jerry, the census, typically they would send us a letter with a bunch of detailed metrics. I tried to find it online, I couldn't. Have they sent you the letter?
No, they've sent us just some basic information about the number of people only. That's all I've seen.
Not the demographic, like
Not the
56
different-
years
yeah.
is the average age or anything like that?
No.
Because they usually have a very detailed, so it's not ready yet?
It may not be, because I know several people are appealing or complaining. I know Canton is contesting. They think they've got more people than 8,000 people that joined their community. So I think it hasn't been released yet, other than the amount of people. It was 440 people came to Plymouth Township in a 10-year period.
They're going to allow communities across Michigan, probably across the country, to contest these census data, which
But that means then you've got to pay people to do canvassing or something.
I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be a computer model or they're going to make an assumption. My hunch is that they're going to make some kind of an assumption on, number of people, extrapolate how many people didn't respond, why they didn't respond, number of homeless, number of transient individuals. The problem is that the timing is coinciding with the whole redistricting fiasco, and it's a train wreck. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to have this whole thing's going to be in court until
Filing deadline.
The filing deadline is April 19th, and so.
You mean
You
for
know,
public office?
For public office,
So
right.
I hope a judge has got this all squared away before then.
Well, this is the first time they did not follow up in person with people who addresses that didn't respond. Is that right?
No, I
In the
saw
past, they
people,
would knock on your door if you hadn't responded.
I saw people, canvassers out there going door to door.
Here in Plymouth Township.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I
Oh, well,
heard
that's
they were.
encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually
I
knew
didn't
a
think they
couple of
did
them.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard that.
We had some former employees who were doing that, as a matter of fact.
All right, well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I still think communities are going to contest. I know Canton is talking about challenging the numbers.
Well, Jerry, if you get any information, I'd appreciate.
I'll pass it on
getting
immediately.
it set out to the board, because
Sure.
they used to send out it was really a
A
cool.
very
Yeah, it was really
detailed,
cool.
yeah, very
You
detailed.
could check SEMCOG, maybe they've got some
Yeah.
advanced
Yeah,
copy, but
copy.
I haven't
I
gotten
haven't,
anything.
I haven't received it, other than the
I looked, I
count.
couldn't find it on the
All
census.
I
website.
found was the count.
The count. That's the only thing that they-
Pre-COVID, we were able to get the number of people, the rate of registration so right before COVID hit, I think our participation rate was like 88%. So we were really good. Other communities were still lagging behind, so.
Very well, like.
I'm afraid they're gonna just start doing projections on
Yeah.
how many people
Yeah.
woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Well, for example,
Sign up.
nearly, I don't know, maybe the 2010, no, the one before that, 2020. 25% of the households in this township had one person living in them, that was a shocking statistic.
Yeah.
It's probably more now.
Which is why active senior housing is what we need. We'll remember that.
They won't be, yeah, they don't want to pay $2,500 a month, though.
Well,
Maybe.
you never know. They got,
We have seniors out here that make a lot of money.
okay, anything else, Chuck?
No,
You
that's
got-
it.
you
Merry
have a thought.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, I want to just wish Mark Clinton a very speedy recovery. You're a great guy and you've done an incredible job for the township. We miss you and we want you back here as soon as you're able. Our next meeting will be January 11th. We'll be doing our annual goal-setting meeting. It's still too early to tell what other items will be on the agenda at this point. So again, I would just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we will see you again in January.
Thank you.
Okay? Need a motion to adjourn? Motion
Support.
made by trustee Dorchevitz, seconded by clerk Vorva. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned.